welcome. Yeah, I got some people in here now that we've figured out how to do a technology today because it was just not.
We were
We were on the struggle bus. So first off, campaign update today. It was our volunteer kickoff brunch. So it was just a social brunch that we, had some snacks, had some drinks, and a lot of people got to meet other people that have been doing organizing, doing things in the political community, and we're really wanting to build the team, let them know a little bit about me, my vibe. It was a great turnout. Honestly, there was a lot of people here. Got tons of some like great volunteers. Huh?
Lots of food.
Lots of food. We had a lot of food, which I was like really worried about. So if you came to the volunteer brunch today, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We will make sure that when we are doing actual trainings, canvassing events, things like that, we will definitely still have our social time because I'm a very social person. But this was it. There was no work, there wasn't anything else, and it was great. So keep an eye out. If you weren't able to make the brunch and you are interested in volunteering for the campaign, you can do so at erica4ok.com. And there is a little box there that you'll be able to sign up for more information. One of our volunteer coordinators will get with you and send you a volunteer skills assessment. So that's just going to ask different things, not a test or anything, just asking kind of what your experience is. If you have no experience in this, that's totally fine. But what things interest you? What are your skills? Are you good at social media? Are you good at, accounting? Are you good at whatever it is? I guarantee that we have a place for you. So would love to have you join the team, Erica, if you're interested. Other than that, some of the events that we have coming up is that we are going to have another lunch and learn that is going to be here on our live spaces now that we are getting better at working the technology. So that is going to be on Tuesday from 11:30 to 1 right here on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. On Wednesday, the 7th, we are going to have our brewing resistance. So this is our first ever brewing resistance. It's going to be at 6 p.m. at Welltown Brewing downtown. And so this is just going to, I'll be set up at a table there, not a super official event. Come and go, meet and greet, asking questions, kind of a more informal, small town, town hall vibe. So bring any questions. Would love to see as many people there. And then on the 8th, we're going to have another lunch and learn. Now, this is going to be the volunteer orientation. So if you did sign up to volunteer today at the brunch or you've done so online, then you'll just need to hop on if you can from 1 to 2:30 on, let's see, oh no, that's the, we've got several of them. So it's 11:30 to 1 here on Thursday the 8th. That's going to be digital as well. We've also got a volunteer orientation on the 11th at 1, and then I think that's the other one. I'm only going to go this for this week. And then we also have a volunteer phone bake scheduled on Saturday at 1 p.m. So I have this in a graphic that it'll be posted. It's already over social medias. If you get the newsletter, you've seen it. If you get TCDP's letter, you've seen it. So we'd love to have you there. So as for that, anything else that I missed on that?
We need an Oppo researcher.
We do. We need an Oppo researcher. Do you?
Because I need to not be the one.
Do you like to creep on people online? Do you like to go in comment sections and see things about people that are saying things and find out who they work, who their mama is, who their friends are, like who's
not that we're going to be doing that. But if that's
I'm saying if it's something you enjoy, we can put your talents to uses. So we would love to have you there. Anyway, all right. So that's pretty much it for that. Let me get up so a little bit of what we're actually going to talk about today. And we're going to be shifting vibes because if you have seen any of the news anywhere, then you know that what I'm probably going to talk about today is Venezuela and the act of U.S. aggression going completely outside of international norms and capturing a head of state of another nation, what that looks like, what that could look like for you in Oklahoma, why it matters. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So Yeah. Just a few days ago, the United States carried out a direct military operation inside of Venezuela. And according to the press, the operation involved U.S. Special Forces, air assets, and intelligence coordination, and it resulted in the capture of Venezuela's sitting president, Maduro. Now, we can have a conversation about how Maduro leads and what a piece of shit he is. That's fine. That still doesn't give the US the right to go and capture a head of state from another nation completely without, for one, congressional approval, which is something that needs to happen. And that it's, like I said, it completely violates all international norms, and the UN Security Council will be convening. So he has been transported into US custody. There have been reports of destroyed homes. There is not, as far as I have seen, and if somebody in the comments has seen it, and I will probably find some later. Let's see. There hasn't been any confirmed deaths or injury reports, but definitely I'm sure that we will be seeing some of that with, coming in. So
Yet.
basically yet. So following this operation, officials, we've seen some conflicting statements. So Trump has basically said that now the U.S. is going to run Venezuela during that time. And I don't like to spend a whole lot of time on what actually comes out of Trump's mouth because it's nonsensical. I like to keep it more policy focused. But that is it's a horrible precedent to set. We as the United States do not get to run other countries. And I'm really going to be hammering in that point of that sovereignty is sovereignty, whether you like the way another country governs or how they want to control their energy resources. That is definitely, we are not able to just go in and run another country. That is not how it works. So we've also have other administration officials, including our Secretary of State. They're trying to walk it back a little bit, saying, "Oh no, we're not going to govern. We're just gonna help. Get somebody else in there," which is another thing that we do. We have regime change is nothing new to the U.S. But basically, this conversation with Venezuela has been happening. We knew that this was coming because Venezuela is sitting on the largest reserve oil in the world by a lot. And we've tried sanctions, we've tried our soft pressure, and then it finally came into military aggression, and international governments are condemning it. And I've seen a lot of conversations about how Venezuelans are dancing in the street, and it didn't. That's not entirely true, but we also have to look at what this looks like on the global scale and what this looks like to other countries, to our allies, and to our adversaries, and what this is going to mean. So across Latin America, Europe, Asia, they've condemned the operation as a violation of sovereignty, and legal scholars, they have raised serious questions about the legality. This does violate in international law without UN authorization or congressional approval. An arrest of a sovereign, of a head of nation is not something that we can do. So oil markets are already reacting. U.S. oil refiners, shocker, you guys, could benefit from changes in the crude oil flows from Venezuela. So interesting that the U.S.-based oil companies are poised to financially benefit from this situation. And the Chinese firms that operate in Venezuela are likely going to lose access to the companies that they have operating in the country as well. So we've also got to look at what is happening in Venezuela is another thing that unfortunately we do a lot, in that it is a superpower versus superpower, US versus China conflict, even though it's happening in Venezuela. So under US international law, use of force, because when we come in with our military in the way that we did in this action, that is generally legal only under two conditions. And that would be self-defense against an armed attack, or whenever it is authorized by the United States Security Council, which we sit on and we have veto power, right? Neither of those things happened. So this is not going to meet this criteria. There was no UN authorization, and there is no evidence of an imminent attack against the United States that would justify this as self-defense. We're going to see how this plays out. But one thing that I did want to talk about, if you have seen my statements, any of the TikToks that I've made, or the statements that I put on Instagram and on Facebook, I talked a little bit about how this is something that has happened multiple times, throughout history, and especially in Latin America, where we have went in and we have changed. We have done US backed regime change, either hostile or more covert operations for for economic profit because of natural resources. And this goes back into Guatemala in 1954. I think one interesting fact that I've learned is that the term banana republic, that is where that comes from. Essentially, when there's a lot of agricultural business in Guatemala with the fruit industries, right? With bananas. And so when the government in Guatemala changed over and they decided that they wanted to make their land, nationalize their land, not have it available to US based companies in the same way. And I'm very much paraphrasing this. The US went in and there was a forcible regime change. And so that is where that came from. We've also been doing it in Brazil, in Argentina, in Chile. And everybody knows the story about Iraq and Afghanistan, or Iraq and Iran. And so this is definitely something that we want to be looking on. My opponent, Kevin Hearn, immediately came out celebrating this attack like it was some victory for the United States, as if we had saved the world from itself. And it is the same rhetoric of world police that we've seen so many times. And it's just a really sad state to see this out in the open so much. But I am hoping to take some questions, because I don't want to just sit here and listen to myself talk for 45 minutes. So if anybody has any questions about anything, other than that, how many updates do we have? Other things? Okay. Because yes, besides the stuff we've talked about.
I think that there's space for us to talk about. I mean, obviously, the Venezuela thing is front and center. But what did Trump do on Christmas Day?
I don't even know. I was on vacation.
You were on vacation. Yes,
I did. I had to do my
vacation. Where were you on Christmas Day again?
I was in Vegas on Christmas Day, but I was with my kids, so it wasn't that much of a big.
Oh my gosh, what African country?
Oh, Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. No,
not
Nicaragua. Was it Nicaragua? No.
What he bombed? Oh, no, let's look up. Hang on.
There's been so many.
There's been so much. Week. That's the thing. This is why I try to keep, but then I don't like to monologue, and so I like to have a little bit of a back and forth. But I also really want to engage in comments over here. So definitely need questions. Right. Yeah, I was like, I thought it was Nicaragua.
No, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay.
Yes, Nigeria. So apparently, according to our government and the Nigerian government, it was it was an organized, like, they worked together on this operation. But there's more details that are starting to come out. But now we have Venezuela, so it's the drinking from the fire hose effect. Once again,
flooding the zone, as Steve Bannon likes to put it.
So drinking from the fire hose, nobody knows what is going on from one moment to the next, because we can't keep track of one thing to the next, because it's constantly crisis. I had a conversation with somebody here today about that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to pay attention to what's going on.
That's by design, because it's you can't keep up with everything that's happening. You feel defeated because there's so many things coming from every which way that you feel like, oh my gosh, it's just this mountain of bullshit and crazy news. And, it's just, every morning when you wake up and then you check your phone, whether it's while you're still in bed or if you're like a very functional human that gets out of bed and like does all their things before they do their morning scroll. But whenever you're looking and it's just like, what new horrors await me today? And it's just every day the headline is something else. So yeah, there's a whole lot going on. And I have a feeling that this midterm is going to be this election cycle is going to be something else. This is going to be it's going to be crazy, with just the absolute onslaught of crazy events that we're having.
So
So
I know we're kind of like
we are all over the place.
We
but
are
that's-
all over the
It's
place.
unfiltered. That's why.
It's unfiltered.
That's why.
That's why we picked the name. Legislative deadline is coming up here in the state of Oklahoma. So for anybody that doesn't know, the legislative bill filing deadline is January 15th. So for the process here in the state of Oklahoma, all of the legislators start introducing language and requesting all of that stuff. They start that in December. And then final deadline for filing for bills and joint resolutions is the 15th. So what that means is that is the final introduced language.
Right.
So obviously amendments happen all throughout session. Right. Authors can amend more freely, so on and so forth. So yes, we need to be paying attention.
Yes.
Because this legislative session is going to be a doozy, given that we are also in an election year. So we should expect to see some really crazy extremists.
And I was going to pull it up, but my computer I feel like literally, I don't know what it is about today. It is just like technology is just not my friend. If you came to the brunch today and you didn't see any vegetables out, it was because I dropped all of the food, including 4 bottles of champagne, and vegetables went all over the floor of Wampa. So that's why nobody got vegetables. So it's just been one of those days. But I did see an article from the Oklahoman, I believe it was today, that there's already been over 100 bills filed. So I was going to definitely
100.
do some over 100.
I mean, usually we have the last couple of sessions we've had over 3,000.
Well, yeah, like maybe it was 100 about something. I just saw 100, and it was like
we should expect to see 3 to 4.
Oh yeah, I was like, I know that there's a ton, but that's not that many that'll make it to committee.
Which is insane.
Yeah,
that's completely insane, especially when you think about the fact that legislators have limits on how many they can file.
Yes.
Unless you're in a leadership position and that limit either increases or the higher up your leadership position, like the speaker could hypothetically introduce as many as he would.
Right.
So yeah.
I also saw that a young Republican representative, freshman, I cannot remember his name, it is eluding me, has started what was it even called? I don't think it's a caucus, but it was basically because he didn't believe that the Republicans in the legislature were Republican enough in Oklahoma. I'm just gonna let that set for a minute because they weren't really upholding. It's like there was like a 7 tenants, and basically, yeah, he's a freshman, and he.
I mean, let's be honest, Shane Jett's got to be a part of it somehow.
Maybe. But it's like it's signed on by a bunch of grassroots organizations. Like I'm sure Moms for Liberty got their claws into this, and it's like they are just wanting to kind of wield power to threaten to primary the few rational Republicans that we do have. And I can't even remember what it's called. See, like this is why I have a computer in front of me to look this stuff up as I'm talking about it. But I'm telling you, it sounds like it's about to take flight right now.
Oh yeah, yes.
What's it called?
It's the Oklahoma Freedom Caucus.
No, not that one.
No,
there's something else. Yeah, it was. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up the Oklahoman or if it'll scream at me. Let's see.
Was it this one?
Yeah, it was today. Like I read it this morning. And he did a press release about basically how they are going to get this going. And it's not, I don't think it's a caucus. It was like a, I don't know. See if bringing stuff up. All right. It's not the Center State one. That's a third party, Carrie. Thank you.
Oh.
Uh-uh.
Oh, we should
Yeah.
talk about that.
You can talk about that. I don't know enough about the Center State Party to talk about it. I just remember the one thing that I knew, the only thing that I really know about the Sooner State Party was that they came out. If y'all know me from activism or organizing, I got my start in that world of like really actually organizing with being like CEO of the Ryan Walters Haters Club, right? Because that guy is a piece of shit. And for 2.5, 3 years, pretty much as long as he was in office, myself, a lot of other activists that do education organizing, the nonprofit that we were with, and then we eventually started our own, were at like every state board of education meeting, any Ryan Walters event. We were hosting protests all the time against him at the state capitol up here in Tulsa, wherever. I show up to people's houses when he was having fundraisers with a megaphone. And because, and I'm, as an activist. And so when the Sooner State Party did their launch with the third party in,
that's the Shane Jett thing.
Huh? Is
I
it?
think
So
yeah.
it's how many signatures do you have to be registered as like an actual recognized? It's
Oh,
like
no,
30,000.
I'm sorry. Sooner State Party is CJ Neal.
Yes.
CJ
Yes.
Neal.
Yes. And so the only thing that I can say about that is that like I had never heard of them. And then it was like all of a sudden when like there was like one of Ryan Walters' really, really egregious headlines, and like like that narrows it down, right? But it was like it was one of the like I said, out of many that like made global news. And all of a sudden there was this like impeachment rally happening, and there was like tens of thousands of people interested on social media. And like you take interest on social media events with a grain of salt, right? Like, because 10,000 people say, do you guys remember the storm Area 51 thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people can say they're going to a Facebook event, and that doesn't mean that they're actually going to show up. But so all of a sudden there's this like impeachment protest happening at the state capitol. And I had so many people coming to me because myself and other people that were like, pretty well known of like organizing this. They're like, hey, are you organizing this process? Like, who is this? Nobody knew. And it turns out that I didn't end up going, but they needed a certain amount of signatures to be able to be recognized as a official state, official political party. And it just really seemed to me like they were using Ryan Walters to get a bunch of people out and then be like, oh, hey, let's do this rally, and then also sign this petition. Like, at least be transparent about it. Like, I don't think that that's honest to not really care about any of it. Like, nobody ever heard of anybody. So anyway, that's my spiel on it. What is yours? Or is yours the Shane Jett thing or different?
No. I think that the whole like Sooner State Party thing
a different day.
That's a different day.
That is a different day.
Have a lot, but I will say this. For those of you who live in Tulsa or anywhere near Tulsa and have been disappointed or realized maybe even that the Tulsa Jazz Hall of Fame has been under construction for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So the Tulsa Jazz Hall of Fame has some, well, there was some embezzlement, and there was some theft, and there was some, and Neal was one of them. And yeah. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. We've had a little bit of some work lately, and I'm not here. I'm not accusing CJ of being a criminal, but there are some things where you see and you go, oh, that's a red flag.
Mhm.
And then everybody else is like, no, that's not a red flag. And like, and we're all over here like, yes, no, that's a red flag. I would say before hopping onto the Sooner State Party, do some research about the people who are.
Oh
heading
yeah,
that,
I don't think
for
anybody.
sure.
I haven't even heard about them. I feel like they popped up for a little bit and then left, and then I don't know.
Isn't that the one?
Third parties.
Isn't that the?
That is
CJ?
not what I'm talking about.
Isn't
Or
that
no,
the CJ?
I think so. But the other thing was, it was from a freshman Republican legislature. He was one that beat an incumbent in a primary because he was the more MAGA, more inclined to extremism, and he beat out Wallace, I believe. And so,
this other thing that is now coming forward that was in the Oklahoman a couple of weeks ago was the Oklahoma Independence Group, which
Mhm.
is headed up by Andy Moore. Have you ever had any interaction with Andy? He's been around for probably about a decade now or so, doing advocacy work, grassroots organizing. So yeah, that's not they're not looking for an organized political party situation, but more of just an awareness how to get involved as an independent effort. So yes. So if we want to go back to the whole thing about airstrikes on Christmas in Nigeria. So Trump claimed that it was a response to genocide or widespread killing of Christians by Islamist militants in Nigeria.
So now we care about genocide.
Yeah, now claimed that U.S. action was meant to protect innocent Christians and punish those attacking them. Even calling the strikes a, quote, Christmas present. So, reality on the ground, experts and analysts, including Nigerian officials, and this has been lauded as a joint effort, but even Nigerian officials are saying that the religious framing that Trump gave it
is
basically bullshit.
The
specific village hit Jabo doesn't have any documented history of organized anti-Christian terrorism.
No, of course not.
And
what is more Republican than making up a problem and then bombing it?
I mean, but it's not just making up a problem. I mean, it's making up a problem that's a dog whistle to your base. And because they want to continues the mentality of Muslims and brown people bad. Christians and white people good.
Islamophobic rhetoric is definitely on the rise, as it's what happens when a bunch of white supremacists are running our country. Anyway, so it is very unfiltered, and I didn't want to go too much longer than 7:45, 8-ish. So would love to open it up for questions, for comments. Few people over on Facebook. We got YouTube. We decided to just I wanted to talk about Venezuela a little bit today, because I just think that's something that has really bothered me about the way some of the reaction that we're seeing is that there are a lot of people that are acting as if this is unprecedented. And make no mistake that, Trump is horrible and he's vile and he's making this all worse. But I think that one thing that we need to start doing, even as we're fighting against this fascist government, is that we need to also be really honest about that this is not new behavior, that, regime change and extrajudicial kidnappings or unalivings or enhanced interrogation. And I say unalivings because I'm over here on TikTok. is something that the US has unfortunately, we have a very long history of doing, especially whenever resources and economic profit are on the line. And we are not going to be able, we can't change that fact. That is how it is. It's well documented in history. I wish it was different, but it's not. We can't hide from that fact. And we have to be able to face it, that this is the truth, that we have a lot of imperial tendencies that are still playing out to this day. And so when we see about what happened in Venezuela, and for the people that say, well, it's good that he was a bad leader, he was a dictator, he needs to be ruined. Okay, that's fine if we want to go that route and we want to say we need to do it through the proper channels. The whole point of this is that you cannot just go and take the head of state of another nation and bring them to your country and his wife. Like, it's sad. So would love to open up comments, any questions about anything campaign related. It does not have to be about this topic. Would love to talk about some other policy. Some of the ideas, I'm going to put out some stuff on social media for this Unfiltered, of getting some guests and having some more really, really nuanced conversations. One of the things I really do want to talk about, I think is going to be a big conversation through this election cycle, is AI. And that's what I was going to do this week. The reason that this was a little bit chaotic is because I had actually been prepping for about a week and a half, a nice little podcast script, and doing some research and kind of framing how I wanted to do some, conversations about AI and how the US really needs to look into having something like an AI Bill of Rights. How are we going to legislate and regulate AI and these algorithms? Because the technology isn't going anywhere. How are we going to do that without kind of crossing that free speech line? But then we didn't really get into that. So that's probably going to be something that we will be talking about this month. Also, definitely want to have a really long talk about healthcare, different options, and how we should be talking about healthcare policy in the US and ways that we can actually save not only you and me and the everyday person money, but actually save the government some money as well. Because if you move and take out the middleman, let negotiation for drug prices happen, single payer system type things, you can actually save a lot of costs. So.
Actually, if you want to, we definitely need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Later, but if we don't have any questions, we can.
Haven't
talk
seen
about it a little bit.
Haven't seen hardly any questions right now. I'll put a banner up over here.
So a couple weeks ago, December 18th, some stuff was put out. I saw it on the 18th, and it had just been put out within a day or two of me seeing it, that up to 300,000 Oklahomans could be impacted if the ACA credits expire.
I thought it was 30.
300,000.
300. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I was
300,000.
Yeah. I already know people that their premiums are doubled.
Insurance Commissioner Glenn Mulready said that the loss of enhanced credits could result in premium increases of up to 30% for individuals who purchase coverage through the healthcare insurance marketplace. He said that he's been warning about the potential impact for months and expects some residents may drop coverage altogether if costs rise sharply. His quote from the article that I saw said, "We believe that if those enhanced premium tax credits go away, we could see up to 100,000 people in Oklahoma," he's talking about just in Oklahoma, choose to become uninsured because they can't. I mean, that's the point is because they can't afford it.
Yeah,
they're choosing. Susan Savage, who is based here in Tulsa, she is the CEO of Morton Comprehensive Health System in Tulsa. That's where I'm getting the 300,000. Said an estimated 300,000 Oklahomans could be impacted if the credits expire. Her quote was, these are individuals who earn too much to qualify for Medicaid, but do not earn enough to easily afford insurance through the exchange without financial assistance. So, yeah, I kind of did a little deep dive on our friend
Yeah.
Kevin. So just very quickly, obviously, Kevin Hearn has been a consistent opponent of the Affordable Care Act since getting into politics for his 2018 campaign and forward to today. He has actively advocated for repealing or rolling back the ACA and replacing it with a market-driven healthcare option. He calls the ACA the Unaffordable Care Act.
Oh my God, how clever.
Yeah. And blames it for skyrocketing premiums, which that is just a Republican talking point. That has been a Republican talking point since, 2008.
I remember.
Well, really, since even back in when Clinton was in the White House, they started talking about how, a healthcare overhaul of the system would cause premiums to rise. But what they're not telling you is they are creating legislation and policies to stop the progressive policies so they can funnel money to their rich insider healthcare CEO buddies and board members that are giving them political contributions. And then they are allowing those private entities to drive the pricing in the market and make themselves a beep, beep, more money.
Yeah.
And that's why insurance premiums are going up. But let's not talk about that. Hearn has voted against legislation repeatedly that expanded or extended ACA subsidies and championed health savings accounts, things like that. He has also introduced his own healthcare plan, which is just
a bunch of for-profit.
Yeah. I mean, there is an aspect of your insurance moves with you and it's not employer-based, which, I mean,
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad at that. But the reality is that we should just have universal health care.
Well, I mean, this is what they do. They take some sort of infrastructure institution, defund it all to hell so that it's understaffed, that we're not getting the resources, so that they can say, oh my gosh, look at how this is not working. We should just privatize it because we and our little buddies want to make money. It's what they've done to housing. It's what they've done to healthcare. They want to do it to education. It's what they've done with most industries. And it's sad. And there was a question from Carrie. So what is the plan to stop or end Oklahoma's 287G contracts between OHP and DHS/ICE? So from my perspective, as a candidate, those contracts are not anything that I would be able to have really any influence on, because a lot of the contracts are with the county level, or so for with OHP, that's going to be the state level. With my consideration or my platform when it comes to ICE is absolutely defunding ICE to the as much as we can. Of course, we still need to have security at our actual borders and our ports of entries. ICE absolutely should not be funded in the way it is. It is a paramilitary organization at this point, and honestly, I think that is kind of the goal. They are terrorizing U.S. citizens and as well as legal immigrants, permanent alien, permanent residents. And absolutely, that is going to be my perspective. There's a little bit more on my website, but making sure that we are not funding this military force in our country. But as far as the actual contracts, I know that at least in Tulsa specifically, that is with the county commissioner's office that they have negotiated their contracts with ICE. So, is there any questions over there on TikTok? Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It's been hit and miss.
So going back to Hearn and healthcare stuff.
Yes.
He voted against the American Rescue Plan Act, which was Biden's COVID-19 relief package that included enhanced ACA premium tax credits to make marketplace insurance more affordable. He voted no on the Inflation Reduction Act, which, among many other provisions, also extended the enhanced ACA subsidies through the end of 2025. Of course, now we're in 2026.
Right.
It passed, but it was a party line vote, and the Democrats managed to pass it. But all five of Oklahoma's congressional delegation voted against it, of course. And then he voted against, again, in this past month, in December. Hearn and Republican leaders opted not to extend the subsidies. So Hearn sits on the Ways and Means Committee. And do we want to talk about the Ways and Means Committee?
If you want to. I'm sorry. I'm trying to prop my computer up because it really is. I'm sorry if the quality of video is crazy. My computer is just
very unhappy today.
It is just.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have yours so that you can look stuff up. That's kind of why I've been so chaotic. I'm sorry, y'all.
So the Ways and Means Committee is one of the most important committees in Congress. It Ways and Means is money, and the Ways and Means Committee decides a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff goes to the Ways and Means Committee, and he is not a freshman member anymore.
Nope.
So when people ask like how detrimental one person can be, I mean, when you put somebody on the Ways and Means Committee, that's a pretty substantial amount of damage that or benefit damage or benefit.
Yeah, it can work both ways.
If you're on the Ways and Means Committee as a member of Congress, you have a lot of ability to make a lot of stuff just amazing, or make a lot of stuff really just horrible.
Yeah.
There was one thing I forgot to mention. By opposing the Inflation Reduction Act in August of 22, Hearn rejected an extension of ACA financial assistance that kept insurance premiums lower for thousands of people in District 1.
Yep.
In this district, we're not talking about just nationally.
Right.
Thousands of people in this district, his own constituents, probably many people who voted for him.
I'm sure.
He sold them out because of partisan rhetoric and, let's make a bunch of other people, let's make him richer and his buddies richer because they need another yacht or mansion or, whatever it is.
All those millions.
Yes.
All right. I'm about to wrap it up. I don't see any more questions, but I'm doing a new segment. Surprise. We haven't talked about this yet, but
it's also a surprise to me.
Yes, that's why that was the surprise. But it is inspired by one of my all-time favorite podcasts, Stuff You Should Know, because at the end of their updates or at the end of their podcast, they read a listener mail. And so I would like to read, it might be an email that I get, or it might be some comments that I've got. They could be good comments. They could be bad comments. They could be neutral comments. But I'm going to read this interesting email. So I do have a little bit of outreach that I do trying to, to help fund this campaign that is, a little bit national based. So there are connections that I have, and there's lists that aren't people in Oklahoma, because due to the nature of politics, sometimes you've got to look outside of just this area to be able to fund it. So I got an email from somebody that I had reached out to that says, and I would like to hear any opinions of this. If you have them, drop them in the comments, because this is whenever we curated this list, this is supposed to be very progressive people, have a history of donating to Democrats, stand for, different social justice causes, things like that. Cause I'm not going to waste my time. We're going to try to find people that are going to fit and vibe with me. Don't know how this one slipped through the cracks. But this is an interesting email that I got from a fellow Democrat that said, We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Rita put that in the comment, and I was like, kill me. Okay. So this person says, I must say, I'm inclined to support moderates, not progressive. Since you self identify as a progressive, I'm not likely a supporter. In fact, in fact, I like to see moderates who specifically disavow traditionally progressive points of point, such as opposition to the police, a no holds barred approach to immigration, a reluctance to prosecute retail and sidewalk crime, a reluctance to uphold Jewish students on campus for fear of offending Palestinians, willingness to turn a blind eye to biological males competing with female athletes for fear of offending trans people, and support for gender surgery to minors, also for fear of causing offense. I find it important for Democrats to publicly and loudly disavow such progressive points of view because intelligent Republicans who are willing to look past Trump's inclination to break down our democracy do so out of fear of the alternative. That is, progressives in power and a San Francisco style approach to government spread to the nation. If Democrats had the courage to publicly disavow the progressive policy, such as those stated, then moderate Republicans might understand that Democrats can be a trustworthy alternative. With this foundation, I believe they would have the confidence to oppose Trump's erosion of our democracy. That's my 2 cents, Erica. What the fuck? What?
No, that's your stories from the district. That's your stories from the district for the week.
This person is not in it. Yeah, like no, we're doing a like to me, this person is a Republican. This person is a Republican. And like I wanted to read that because sometimes the call is coming from inside the house.
Oh yeah.
And this person is basically saying throw trans people under the bus. Don't talk about genocide because it might offend people. And unfortunately, there are people within our party that feel this way.
Lots of people.
Just join the Republican Party. Just join the Republican Party and then like try to fix over there, because that is the thing, is there is such a wide net in the Democratic Party, because you have progressives, you have leftists, you have people, and then, you know, the liberal people, but then you have people like this. This is a conservative. This is a conservative. Like, I don't know, like what.
I'm sorry. I know that we live in Oklahoma, but I'm tired of pretending to be Republican light all the time.
Yeah.
Which is what this mentality is. Which is what I have heard for the entirety of, in 6 months, it will be 20 years in Oklahoma politics. And I have heard that, and I have heard that, and I have heard that, and I've heard that over and over and over again. That the only way a Democrat can be successful in this state is to be moderate. And that is just blatantly untrue. In fact, it is why we keep losing, because we are alienating our own people. We are alienating our own voters. Our voter turnout, when we look at voter turnout numbers from one election to another, our voter turnout for Democratic voters and progressive independents, especially since the Democratic Party opened primaries 10 years ago. So sorry about that again. By the way, if you want to vote in the Democratic primary in the state of Oklahoma, and it's not just for Erica's race, it's for any Democratic primary, governors, any statewide, anything like that, you have to be a registered Democrat, and you have to be registered by April 1st of 2026. And that doesn't mean on April 1st, go to the county election board. No, that is going to, I promise you, just get it done by the end of March.
Which sucks. You shouldn't have to do this, but that's
the reality that we live in right now, because somebody screwed up. No, it was not a conspiracy. I had so many questions today on whether or not it was some conspiracy to get the attention of independents, or some conspiracy to bolster 836 or something like that. I promise you that is not the case.
Somebody dropped the ball.
Somebody dropped the ball, and that is the end of the story. And this is the reality we live in. So let's move on. So, ADHD brain.
No, just like there's so many that are just like conservative people that
Oh,
are
yeah,
in the
they're-
Democratic Party that it's like, okay,
Yes.
I don't know, doesn't
But
make sense, but no, the leftists are the problem.
Democrats, we kind of maintain, we don't
Mhm.
have a big drop off
Yeah.
from presidential to midterm years. I mean, there is a drop off, but it's like not huge, at least not around here, at least
Mhm.
not in your urban, suburban areas. It's not huge. Democratic voters and progressive voters, the ones that vote,
Yeah,
vote pretty consistently from a
Yes.
number standpoint.
independence is
Well, yeah, independent participation is not great to start with. But Republican voters drop off significantly in midterm years.
yes,
Significantly.
because they only care about the presidential. Most of them do. A lot of them do.
Yeah. So the other problem is that everybody's like, Oklahoma used to be a Democratic state. Oklahoma was never really a Democratic state.
No.
If we talk about issues and we talk about the policies that the Democrats in the 90s, even into the early 2000s, the policies that they were fighting for, prior to that, we are talking about Dixiecrats, a lot of them. There are plenty of them that have continued to grow with the party as the party's platform has gotten more progressive, over the years, over the last, 30 or 40 years. But Oklahoma was a Southern Democratic state. We were no more progressive. We're populist. So that in and of itself is, but policy making wise, we were pretty much in line with what we now consider to be some of the most conservative states like Alabama and Louisiana and Tennessee and Arkansas and things like that. We are still that state. And just now our voter registration numbers are more accurately reflecting the mindset of voters in this state for where the parties currently sit politically on issues. So
Yes. So very sorry, but if you are wanting to vote, June 16th is the primary for my race. It's also going to have the state minimum wage question, which we need to pass. So we need to be out there, which even if you are an independent, you do not want to change to any other party, that's fine. You can still go and get just the state question as well, but would really love, especially if you're in CD1 and you support me, would love for you to change and be able to vote for me in the primary. I know that it sucks that you have to do that because I know that if you're an independent, you're probably an independent for a reason. But that is just what it is. So we are going to wrap up because it's a little bit after 8. Stay tuned next week. We're going to try, and I'm going to see if maybe Sundays are not the best time. We have got some good engagement here, but would like to get this out to more people. We're either going to be talking about AI or healthcare next week. Haven't really decided, but we will be putting that out. Would like to maybe have some questions beforehand that we can talk about. We're still kind of learning exactly how we're going to format this. Definitely don't want it to be super scripty, preachy, monologue-y. That's just not my style. And we're going to be having guests on as well.
Hopefully on the 18th.
Yes, we're waiting to hear back from a potential guest on the 18th where we would be talking about some economic policy stuff. So if you know, but we haven't heard back. Would love to have different conversations about, that aren't things that are normally really discussed on a political campaign. So definitely want to have that happen. So stay tuned for social medias, erica4ok.com if you haven't already. Sign up to volunteer if you're interested, if you haven't already. If you are able to financially support, that would be amazing. It does. We are a grassroots campaign. We are not taking billionaire money. We are not taking APAC money. Every few dollars counts. So if you can throw $5, $10, that matters too. If you have the capacity to give more, your dollar is going to go really, really far in this race because of the way that we're running it. And it's actually going to be reaching voters, targeting, having face-to-face conversations in the community, not just blasting shitty TV ads. So with that being said, I'm going to bid you all a good night. Thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Really great to see some of the comments in here, and I'll see you at this time next week. Bye. We need outro music.
Yeah, we do.